Sprain an ankle, break a foot. What do I mean by that? All right, so I have scoured YouTube. I haven't found much on what happens when you're 5 miles out and you have a sprained ankle, or you're concerned you broke your ankle, or you're concerned you broke your foot. How do you, bandage that? How do you splint that? What do you do? We're going to talk about that today. We're going to hopefully make you a little bit of a better diagnostician, and when to go to urgent care and emergency room, and what are you going to do to get back safely. Foot, ankle. All right. Now there are these rules. They have the Ottawa rules of the knee and the Ottawa rules of the foot. Now, about 5% of all fractures that are seen across the U.S. are actually foot fractures. And I'm here to tell you that these Ottawa rules that they came up with, or they've been around for, I don't know, I want to say 30 years, are really, really accurate. I think they're 99% sensitive and about 50% specificity on this. What that means, specificity in terms of it does miss in terms of false positive, but it's very sensitive in terms of finding out the fracture. So here's the situation that we have, is that we can use this Ottawa rules for anybody up until about 50 for me. And the thing of it is, it says 55, but I'm more cautious. So over 50, I don't use them. And the goal was to avoid doing x-rays. But as in the last 20 years, what I've noticed is patients come in demanding x-rays. So that's pretty interesting. But that aside, the Ottawa rules of the ankle are this: to rule out, do you have a fracture? You sprain your ankle, you're hiking, you got a 30-pound pack on your back, you're going to press here. This is going to be your left foot. You're going to press over here on your tibia. This is that bone that sticks out. And you're going to push about an inch to an inch and a half up. Over here, you're going to push about an inch to an inch and a half up. That's that bone on the outside, the lateral. This is the fibula. Then you have the navicular. It's on your big toe side. You're going to be pushing over here to see if that hurts. Then what's also very common is a fracture of the bone directly behind your little toe. This is your fifth metatarsal. You're going to push on that sucker, and if that hurts really bad compared to when you push up here, that's a concern. I mean, I've seen stress fractures here where people are just jogging. So that is a concern. Then the other thing, which I am on the fence on because it really runs into some subjectivity around patients' pain tolerance. I got athletes, they come in with a broken foot and they're able to walk 6 paces, no problem. They walked in, no crutches. They actually ask you on the Ottawa rules, can the person take 4 steps weight bearing? So that's fairly subjective in terms of pain tolerance, I'm here to tell you. So what do we do with this? In the clinic, it depends on the severity of the fracture, and we're not going to go into all the details, but one of the things that we use is you don't want this to move when you're walking. When you don't want your bones to be moving if you have a fracture, especially on your foot. For example, you could have a fracture up here, which is some French dude by the name of Lefranc, and Lefranc he was the guy that diagnosed these midfoot fractures, which are common, and he think it happened when people were getting in and out of their horses in the 1800s. That's a very concerning fracture. And I got to mention the old Aaron Rodgers, right? The Achilles tendon, the calf muscle comes down here, it inserts here, just for a side note. All right, what do? We use this. This is an orthopedic shoe or an ortho shoe. Foot goes in there, and you cannot, I don't care if you take a pair of channel locks, you are not bending this sole. It is not happening, which makes you walk like a duck. And that is how you're going to walk coming out of the woods. And if you do this, there's a very good chance you're going to save yourself from experiencing this. And that is an internal fixation with a bunch of pins. So that is what we're trying to save you from, where the fracture gets worse. This next one is a spiral fracture where the person jumped down and twisted, and you see they have a fracture of this bone. And I need to mention that there's 3 different grades of ankle sprains. There's a grade 1, a grade 2, and a grade 3. A grade 1 is the most mildest. Probably everyone's experienced it. And you have some strained tendons, it swells up, you elevate it, compression, ice. Grade 2 is you've torn some, they're called fibrils of the tendon. And when that happens, that's a grade 2. It's going to take longer to heal. I've seen them 6 to 8 weeks. And pro athletes, college athletes, they cast a lot of grade 2s because they heal quicker. You immobilize, it's going to heal quicker. Grade 3 is when you've basically shredded the tendons. It's extremely severe, and the foot is pretty well flopping, not a good idea. That's bad, very bad. So those are the 3 grades of sprains. We're going to talk about, you got the bare minimum. You don't have K-tape. You don't have anything with you to bandage this when you're 5 miles out, 6 miles out, you're hunting elk in Wyoming. You think you might have a fracture. You sprain the hell out of your ankle. You're worried about a foot fracture. What are you going to do? We're going to go into that right now. All right, so my mock hiker here has sprained her foot, and we've done the test for the Ottawa rules. We've checked the 5th metatarsal, tib fib, the navicular bone, and she cannot take 4 steps. So one of the things you're not going to have, I would assume, most people are not going to have K-tape and have everything in their pack. So I'm hoping that you guys have duct tape, Gorilla Tape, an extra pair of socks if you have them would be great. Even if you have an old t-shirt that you can take and cut up. So you could take an old shirt, cut that vertically right down the middle, as close as you can to the middle, as you can get. And basically what this is going to be a padding scenario with stabilization. That is the whole goal of what we're doing. You can take a t-shirt and just below that bone, you can pad this area. You can wrap this around like that, and you can do the same on the other side. Or what you can do, if you don't have an old shirt laying around, you can take a sock and you can ball this sock up underneath that gap and wrap that around. When you normally tape a sprained ankle, you're going to have an anchor up here that goes around, which we're going to do. You run a piece down the sides and around, and then you can do some J taping on both sides. But in this situation, we do not want her to move her foot. The other thing that I really, really advocate is cut off. I always do this, is cut off the tips of the sock. You want the toes to show because you want to constantly be able to assess neuro and vascular. Can the person feel? And look at the color of the skin. If you wrapped it too tight and they turn blue, not a good sign. So you'd have to loosen it. So these are all things you want to do. I always cut these suckers off just to about here so I can monitor those the vascularization and the neurological ability of the toes. All right. So what we have here is Gorilla Tape. And really what we're going to do is we're going to reconstruct. And I go up about about 5 to 6 inches. And you're going to, now if they don't have a sock on, that's fine. But be advised, if they don't have a sock on and they're a guy, they're going to love you when you pull this off because you're not going to have nair or a razor to shave their legs. Now, ideally, you don't want a whole lot of wrinkles in that, as you see that one does. We're going to we want this foot at 90 degrees, okay? That's important, very important. That is called normal anatomical function. So I take this sock, I'm going to roll it up tight like that. I'm sticking that right under that ankle and for padding, and I'm going to have that sock there. That's what my goal is on that. So I have that little open space there. You can start there on that anchoring. You're going to run it across that under her foot and come around the top of her foot like that. Okay? Then what I do after I got that one, I let this flop in the wind for right now. Then we're going to take the other one and we're going to wrap that toe, and we're going to do the same thing on the other side. We're going to let this flop in the wind. So we're going to hold that there, get us another piece. We're going to hit that anchoring point up there on the side. Roll that up just like you would roll an ace wrap, rolling that up, and that's going to go just below that outer bone, the fibula there. We're going to run this underneath to keep it positioned and underneath her foot, like that. Now you take these, and this area here, when you're at a 90 degrees, sometimes it becomes very painful when you're in an ortho shoe and you're walking like this, especially through the woods and trails. I like to take this and put this on both sides over the dorsal, the top of her foot, like that. That's what I'm going for. Okay, then we're going to wrap, and we want this bulky as hell, is what we want. We want this bulky and firm. I go up here like this, and this is the J that you normally do without all this bulkiness. And as you see, I started up there, and I'm coming around fairly tight, like that. Now we're going to do the same to the other side. Up here, and again, and we're doing the J over the top of the foot. Now what I want you guys to do is, once you have this basic format, I want you guys to pad some way, somehow. You can cut off a piece of shirt. I don't care what you do, but you're going to take something and put at the base of the heel for comfort, and you're going to tape that back there because that is going to rub when they walk. You're going to probably have to cut all the laces off of the shoe. You're going to put this foot in the shoe, and you are going to then close that shoe up, and you're going to take this tape. And at this point, the shoe is on the person, and you are going to act like it's a penny a roll. You are going to take this tape, and you are going to basically, I'm not going to do it here, you're going to roll it around the shoe from the base of the toes all the way down to here. You are going to basically make an ortho shoe like I showed you at the beginning of the video. So you don't want this moving. If you do not have any tape in the outdoors, then what you're going to have to do is you're going to have someone help ambulate this person. You're going to have to make a cane. You're going to have to make crutches out of some wood. You're going to have to fabricate and do a MacGyver situation and figure it out to get back, so we don't have movement, so we don't create this kind of fracture that you see right here. All right, guys, I hope that helps and gives you some basis of what we're achieving here. Keep your eyes on the rise and your face to the wind. We'll see you next time.